Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the October meeting of the Capital Program Oversight Committee. Do we have any public speakers?
No, we don't.
We have the minutes in the printouts. Are there any comments regarding the minutes? If not, can I have a motion to approve? Second, all in favor? Aye. Committee work plan, Craig Stewart.
There are no changes to the work plan, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, today it's the capital program update for New York City Transit, and we're going to start with Nadish Patel, Signals and Train Control.
Good afternoon. I'm Nadish Patel, and today I will brief you on the status of several projects in the Signal and Train Control Division. CBTC flushing line contract was awarded to Thales in June 2010. Project overlays a new CBTC system on the flushing line from Main Street to the new 34th Street terminal, and also modernized to interlocking First Avenue and Times Square. This contract also equipped 46 trains with the CBTC equipment. Trains are procured and or modified under a separate contract with the Kawasaki. The contract schedule has slipped from second quarter 2017 to the third quarter 2017. There are various reasons, and one of the reasons is that the contractor needs more CBTC testing time than originally planned for it to validate and verify the safety aspect of the CBTC system. On the cost side, additional funding of approximately $20 million is being anticipated to completion of the contract, including the closeout phase. Since my last report, reasonably good progress has been made. CBTC equipment installation into the train is ongoing. Automatic train supervisory system testing started a little late, but progressing good. And we have placed in service the 74th Street interlocking ahead of the schedule. For the next 6 months, we're going to start the train operator training, and we're going to also start placing in CBTC system. The next chart will give you the current CBTC cutover plan, and the dates are subject to availability of track access. There are 5 critical issues or activity we are monitoring closely to maintain the current schedule. Project team has developed a detailed plan for CBTC testing and commissioning, and has also identified all needed track outage from now to 2017. Project team is working with the internal department to secure these outages. The third issue, the transponder interrogative antenna cable, needs to be replaced with another robust cable, or the installation method has to be modified. Contractor is in progress to correct this problem by January 2016 to ensure the CBTC cutover start February 2016. Beyond 74th Street towards the 34th Street new terminal, CBTC cutover require all the 46 train CBTC equipped and also a reliable and stable CBTC system software. The Corona car shop is working very hard to complete the installation by September 2016. And at this time, we are anticipating that the system software will be stable enough to continue the CBTC cutover beyond 74th Street. The next project is CBTC Culver Line Integrated Test Facility. NYCT awarded this contract to Siemens Thales Consortium in September 2011. This project provides a final CBTC interface and interoperability specification, an integrated test facility at 2 Broadway, an integrated test facility on track B3 from Church Avenue to 7th Avenue on a Culver line, and 2 proven interoperable CBTC system and system supplier. Integrated test facility and culvert test track will be utilized to qualify additional CBTC system supplier, and I will talk about that. In addition, it also provides a new speed measurement system, DigiMove, for the Canarsie line. The DigiMove system replaced the existing optimal speed measurement system. Substantial completion has been delayed from July to December 2015 mainly because of interoperability testing and the stability of the DigiMove system taking longer than originally planned for it. Project is within the budget. A good progress has been made since my last update. We are testing the interoperability on the Culver line test track, and test results are very encouraging. DigiMove system has been placed in revenue service since June and also behaving better than expected. By December 2015, all the interoperability testing will be completed and the DigiMove system stability will be achieved. There are two main issues we are monitoring to maintain the current schedule. The current plan is to complete all interoperability testing by next month, November 2015. If any software issues are discovered, the contractor will work multiple shifts also during the weekend and also during the month of December to maintain the schedule. For the stability of DigiMove system, based upon the behavior since June 2015, we are expecting the DigiMove system to be proven stable and reliable by December 2015. The next project is the CBTC equipment supplier interoperability. Last time I reported that we are in procurement for selecting the third CBTC supplier. The contract has been awarded to Mitsubishi in September 2015. This contractor will use the CBTC integrated test facility, including the Culver test track, to demonstrate to NYCT that CBTC system meets our interoperability and interface spec. Successful completion of this project will give us 3 qualified CBTC suppliers. The CBTC Queens Boulevard line. The last time I reported this contract was in a procurement stage. We were negotiating with the Siemens and Thales, and this contract has been awarded to Siemens and Thales in August 2015. Under this contract, we're going to equip 309 R160 units with the CBTC equipment. This map shows you the deployment of CBTC on the Queens Boulevard line. And I will provide you in a subsequent meeting the timeline also. The next project is the CBTC Queens Boulevard line installer contract. This project is in a design phase, and the future contractor will install all the CBTC equipment except the car and support CBTC testing in addition to performing all the conventional signaling work. Design will be completed on time to award this contract by second quarter of 2016, subject to funding availability. The next contract is the 2 interlocking on a QBL line. Substantial completion, originally scheduled for April 2017, is now projected to be completed on third quarter of 2017 due to the impact of prioritized work which resulted in limited service outage and other resources for the signal work. Going forward, signal work will get the priority to maintain the third quarter 2017 completion date. Integrated Service Information Management project for the B division has been divided into the multiple projects we call modules. I will provide you the details on module 1 and 3, and Mark Binstock will provide you the details on module 2 and 4. For module 1, bid was open on August 19, and the low bidder is Yanker Electric. Qualification hearing is completed, and the contract will be awarded soon. During the procurement phase, the contract duration has been changed from 29 months to 37 months to increase the competition. And this will not have any impact on the overall ICMB program. The next ICMB module 3, this project design was completed in June. We are anticipating to start the request for proposal as soon as the funds are available. I provided you the slide last time I met with you, the interim train arrival information. All the days projected in the slide are on schedule. Mobile application work for the Western Line and the Concourse Line are on schedule as reported last time also. Under the contract W32697 and W32694, the dates are provided are also on schedule. The next 4 signal modernization projects are on schedule and within the budget. They are attached for your information. Thank you.
Independent engineer report will be provided by Kelvin Gordon for Flushing, interlocking, and hold you a question, and Culver Line. Question, I'm sorry, Ira.
On the combination of CBTC on Queens Boulevard and also the interlocking projects at Roosevelt, 71st Street, and Union Turnpike, they were all 3 of those are conventional relay technology. I'm just wondering why that was done, as opposed to solid state or something more modern.
From now on, including the Dyer, West 434, we are all doing the SSI. So these are the last project we're doing with the relay base. For any project on a interlocking, or will be SSI project.
Is there something else? These interlocking projects will be done with this technology. Does something else have to be done in order to make them CBTC ready, or it's independent the way they function?
Now, whether it's a relay-based interlocking or SSI, both interlocking, whether it's a relay-based or SSI, will be ready to accept the CBTC.
Okay. On the 7 line, I notice there's a lot of yellow situations, including getting the equipment ready in times that you could run CBTC. Is the plan to run the line, because it did say, I think you disconnect the existing signal system, I forget what, before the whole thing
Not
was
until the
finished.
end, though. You run with both signal systems for a while, don't you?
It didn't,
Okay, sorry,
but
finish.
that's what I thought, but it said, in the presentation, it said that it would be discontinued before. I forgot that, if you look at the,
Yeah, I'll give you the information. So what we did on the Flushing line, that we keeping the existing signaling system and we attaching that signaling system to CBTC from Main Street to 74th Street. So starting February 2016, we're going to start placing in service the CBTC, but the existing signaling system will be available just in case if the software is not working well or CBTC fail. So we have a backup system will be available all the way to the October. So beyond October and beyond 74th Street to 34th Street, we're not connecting the existing signaling system to the CBTC. We're hoping that the signaling system or CBTC system from Main Street to 74th Street will give us a confidence enough to remove the signaling system from 74 onwards. Because connection to the existing signaling system and CBTC is very costly.
right, okay, so it's, in a way, it's part, you'll be running with CBTC on part of the line and then switch over to the
Right.
conventional, for, I don't know, a year, maybe several months or a year.
Actually, from February to October next year, we're going to run both systems parallel, and then we're going to slowly switch over to the CBTC. And we're going to start disconnecting the existing signaling system.
Right, but when you, okay, we could talk about it later. It just, the schedule seemed to have you disconnect some of the existing signaling system while the other section, the CBTC, wouldn't be active.
Let me go to that slide.
Go to that slide, that's the way I read it.
Okay.
It's okay if that's what it is, I just, it seemed not what we were first told.
Okay, that's.
Yeah, that's it.
This one.
I
So
think,
if you
well,
look
that
at-
one shows that,
The first quarter of 2016 on right-hand side, we're placing from Main Street to 111. That's a mixed mode, means existing and the new. Then we go from 111 to 74.
Right.
Same thing, mixed mode. And that will be done on a second quarter. And we're not going to go beyond 74 to 33rd or Queensboro Plaza or New Terminal until we do the
2017.
last 2 items. We have to finish all the installation in the Corona shop. So all the 46 train need to be ready. And we also wants to see the software is stable.
Right, but in October 2016, you're going to disconnect the signal system in the portion where you're running CBTC.
Right, we're gonna
Yeah.
start discussing a section.
Even though we don't have CPTC active in the other portion, because we don't need it for the whole, you can do, okay. I just want to make,
Andrew?
So, I think I asked this question a couple of months ago, but in the case of the 7 line and the Queens Boulevard line, if you don't have aside from the other benefits of CBTC, the benefit that everybody likes about it, which is the ability to fit more trains in a shorter distance and run more frequent service, if you don't have it from endpoint to endpoint, you can't really do that unless you short-turn trains, correct?
That's correct, right.
So, you know, the westernmost or southernmost limits of the Queens Boulevard line is 50th Street and 8th Avenue in this scheme. So where would you end trains then if you fit more in on Queens Boulevard? West 4th? I mean, where would you end them? 50th Street?
But I think I will work with the operation planning to create that plan.
I see.
That how do we improve or add more train? Right now, I think like you said, that there are a lot of safety benefits we're gonna get also.
Yeah.
And that will help us. Also, we're gonna get automatic train supervision, centralized control, some other
That's all
benefits
good.
we're gonna get, yeah.
But fitting in additional trains has to wait until you short-turn them or you get it for the whole line.
I'd like to have operations planning take a look at that, because although we're getting to be a little bit more flatter in terms of peak versus non-peak, an inbound trip in the morning from Queens is peak, but going out to Brooklyn, it's non-peak. So I'd like to have operations planning look at that, but theoretically, you wait until the entire line is done before you start to add additional trains. Calvin, if you'd like to report on the projects the independent engineer you oversee?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and the board members. I'll be reporting on the Flushing Line test track and interlockings. Starting with CBTC Flushing Line, the schedule, based on the additional time required for testing and commission, IEC agrees that substantial completion will move out to the third quarter of 2017. Regarding the budget, the project budget increase reflects in-house support costs, and we feel the additional funds required should carry the project out to close out. Regarding critical issues and highlights, the critical path work goes through the car equipment installations and cut over various segments to the CBTC operations. CBTC car equipment installations has not progressed as planned. However, NYCT has identified the issues and has a plan to finish the fleet in time for CBTC operations. Shadow mode operation start was delayed several months. The IEC concurs that the steps are in place to begin in November 2015. Moving on to the next project, the Cover Line CBTC test track. As far as the schedule, the IEC agrees that the substantial completion slip is cited by NYCT. We have no issues with the budget currently. Regarding critical issues, completing the formal interoperability field demonstration tests and the retrofit and stability with DigiMove will complete the carbon portion to achieve substantial completion. Moving on to the interlockings, as you see on our slide, each of the below interlockings achieved a green status in the traffic light report presented in the September 2015 CPOC meeting, and the IEC concurs with the NYCT's reporting status on the Union Turnpike and 71st Street Avenue interlockings. And that concludes my report.
Chris Adams will give the report on interlocking, Queens Boulevard.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be reporting on the design and furnish contract for the Queens Boulevard CBTC, the design and furnish contract. This contract has just started within the last month, so the report is pretty short. As far as schedule is concerned, the IEC agrees that the duration of the contracts are reasonable based on lessons learned from similar projects. Project budget is on budget, but still needs to be confirmed once the installed contracts have been awarded. Critical issues, availability of transit agency services to allow contractors to perform wayside work in a timely manner, availability of in-house forces to complete car-borne installations at multiple locations in accordance with the schedule, and finally, install contract for the Queens Boulevard CBTC should be awarded by second quarter 2016 to meet the overall project schedule. That includes my report on Queens Boulevard.
Any comments or questions of the IC reports? If not, we'll now have a report by the Progress Report and the Systems and Security Division, Mark Beanstalk.
Good afternoon. My name is Mark Beanstalk, and I'm the Program Officer for Systems and Security. Today, I will be updating you on several projects in my program area. The first project is a VHF radio system upgrade, which was awarded to Alcatel-Lucent in February 2012, and will install new radio base stations and equipment to support subways train radio in compliance with the FCC narrowband mandate. Substantial completion date is currently forecasted to be 55 days behind schedule, but all base stations will be transitioned to narrowband mode, and beneficial use of the system will be declared on schedule. To date, we have already placed in service 48 new base stations and completed narrowband transition for the Bronx IRT outdoor locations, Junior Street in Brooklyn, and the Rockaways. Over the next 6 months, we will complete all remaining IRT narrowband cutovers and start transitioning other subways divisions. This slide shows some of the typical equipment that we've installed. On the upper left is a new VHF radio base station cabinet installed in field locations. The upper right shows the radio control equipment in the Rail Control Center. On the bottom left, you see a tone remote control console, which is used by train dispatchers to talk with train operators and conductors. And on the lower right, you see the radio equipment installed in the backup command center at Livingston Plaza. We anticipate achieving beneficial use of all outdoor base stations on schedule and are working closely with the contractor to ensure that all as-built drawings are submitted and approved in order to meet the milestone. The new bus command center construction contract was awarded to MPCC Corporation in June, and construction activities have started. This is a rendering of the new building. The operating theater occupies the space in the rear of the building, the left side on the rendering, and the front section houses offices and support spaces. This is a photo showing the site cleared and ready for construction. Fanchon Place is running from south to north, and Jamaica Avenue is in the foreground. The existing East New York bus depot is the large building on the left. To date, the contractor has installed a construction fence and cleared the site. Vibration monitoring equipment has been installed in the subway, which runs adjacent to the new building site, and over the next 6 months, we will start to begin the heavy construction activities. We have established 4 interim reporting milestones for major construction activities, and all are currently on schedule. The new bus radio system has been advertised and is in the procurement phase. The proposed project schedule is shown. The award date has been moved from January 2016 from August 2015, a 5-month slip due to extended technical and cost negotiations. Integrated Service Information and Management, which on the B division, which are the letter trains, which we just spoke upon earlier. ISM is the program that will lay the foundation for achieving the goal of centralized service monitoring of the entire B division. The program will monitor and track the movement of all B division trains and provide that information to service management personnel in the Rail Control Center as well as to the public. Under ISM B, interlocking control will remain in the field. These efforts will improve service management, safety, and security, as well as improve customer information, operational plans, and schedules. Since our last report, Module 2 has achieved final design completion, and we are targeting an award at the end of the year. Module 2, if you'll recall, is the module which will install new speakers and customer information screens for the 21 stations on the Flushing line. The Flushing CBTC automatic train supervision system will be interfaced to the existing PACIS office system in the Rail Control Center to display real-time train arrival information at these Flushing stations. We are proceeding with the first 3 phases of the ISIM program to determine train locations in real time, to install public address systems and customer information signs on the Flushing line, and to procure the information management system to identify trains and predict train arrival times. This work will be completed via existing funding in the 2010 to 2014 capital program, as well as proposed funding in the 2015 to 2019 capital program. New York City Transit has a multi-pronged strategy to deliver the train arrival information to all B Division subway customers. The first step in implementing that strategy involves delivering the information via the MTA website, the SubTime app, third-party applications, and website developers. This information will be available once the first software build is complete, currently forecast for January 2020. The second step is to display train arrival information at the 89 B Division stations where new PACIS systems are currently being installed. The third step, the installation of new public address systems and customer information signs in the remaining B Division stations, has been deferred to the 2020 to 2024 capital program. Funding for design of this work is available prior to 2020, and construction can be advanced and start if funding becomes available during the later years of the new capital program. There are also a few initiatives which Nidish spoke about briefly to bring train arrival information to those B Division stations where, with little effort, we can accurately track the trains and predict train arrival information.
When you speak of real-time train arrival information, I assume you're speaking about which train it is, not just the time of its arrival?
Correct.
So you'll know its origin?
Yes.
Okay, thanks.
The HelpPoint system provides a reliable way for our customers to receive information, request assistance, or report emergencies in our passenger stations. These units also include induction loop technology for the hearing impaired. This is the schedule for the deployment of HelpPoints at all of our passenger stations. To date, we have completed HelpPoint installation at 226 out of the planned 250 stations, and we expect to complete installation at the remaining stations by the end of the year. The passenger station local area network extends the high-speed fiber optic network to the passenger stations. This photo shows a pedestal-mounted access node and a column-mounted access node, both of which have been designed to blend in with the station environment. The access nodes contain networking equipment, which allows us to reduce the conduit and cable needed to connect field devices, such as HelpPoints, cameras, and customer information signs. In addition, we are able to reduce the amount of equipment needed in communications rooms, thereby lowering the heat load and power requirements in these critical facilities. The PS-LAN program was developed to provide networking at all passenger stations by the end of 2017, coinciding with the HelpPoint rollout and in advance of the need for new fare payment system.
I think the slide showed it right, but when you said 250, you complete up to 250
By
of
the
the
end
help
of this
points
year.
by the end of this
Correct.
year. The
Yes.
full rollout is 2 years later.
2017, correct.
First independent engineer review, Calvin Gordon on the VHF radio.
Yes, regarding the budget, the IC sees no issues to report. As far as schedule, outdoor sites were completed by July 2015. Although the project is reporting a 55-day delay, in the IC's opinion, the schedule outlook is improving and should improve further as several sites are in various stages of completion but not reflected in the latest CPM schedule. So what we're saying here is it is showing a 55-day delay currently, but there's more work that has been done since the latest CPM schedule, so it's a good thing. The transition to narrowband may be achieved by July 2016. Moving on to our observations, NYCT has achieved all of the 180-day look-ahead objectives stated in the March 2015 CPOC slides presentation, and NYC and the contractor have worked together to achieve an average site cutover rate of 2 per week. Consideration has been given to increase the cutover rate to 3 per week. So we're commenting on the fact that they are doing their due diligence and trying to achieve every possible way to do more cutovers and make the project come in on time. That concludes my review.
Comments or questions? If not, Darlene Rivera will give the, I'm sorry, Andrew?
From the last slide you gave, Mark, are we to assume that all transit wireless installations will be completed by 2017?
Yes.
And turned on?
Yes.
So basically, customers will have B division real-time information on their smart devices before they'll have it on screens.
Yes.
That's a fair statement? Okay, thank you.
We will find a day when most people will be using the mobile electronic devices for most communication. And it's the way of the future here today. Darlene Rivera, Bus Radio System.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. With respect to budget, the IEC will reevaluate the budget once the contract's awarded. As to schedule, the IEC agrees with project's characterization of the schedule for current forecast of the award date for this bus radio system contract. Observations. The IEC is working with New York City Transit to conduct a refresh of the December 2013 risk assessment to reflect any differences from the time of risk assessment to the issuance of the RFP. The IEC notes that the RFP does not contain contractual interim milestones to monitor against construction progress. New York City Transit indicates that interim non-contractual milestones will be established once the contract is awarded. This concludes the IEC report on the bus radio system contract.
Any questions? Lou Gelsomino will give the, I'm sorry, go ahead.
On the Flushing Line customer communication, it says that the plan is to install public address and information screens. There's no plan to make it available in an app until the rest of the B division is done?
It will be available first on the app and then follow up on the screens.
Oh, on the Flushing Line?
On the Flushing Line as well, correct.
Okay, all right, thanks.
Once Transit Wireless is in, you'll have that functionality throughout, won't you?
For use of cell phones,
Yes.
yes.
Lou?
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. On the schedule and budget review, the IEC has reviewed the project schedule and agrees with the milestones cited in the report. On the budget, the IEC has reviewed the project estimate. Based on the current project budget, it appears that there will be sufficient funding to complete this project. Under observation, the IEC will be working with NYCT to develop a risk register to identify risk mitigations. That concludes my report.
Chris Adams, ISMB.
In this presentation, we will be providing oversight on the ISMB program as presented by Signals and Train Control and the Systems Security Divisions. Schedule and budget review. Timely award of contracts for Modules 1 and 2 will be important to allow effective testing of Module 3. Module 3 design has been completed, but advertising RFP has been deferred due to 2015-2019 capital program delays. Thirdly, IEC confirms the estimates for Modules 1, 2, and 3 are reasonable based on past experience with implementation of the A Division countdown clocks. Additional comment, Module 3 would be subject to a risk assessment, which will be carried out in Q1 of 2016, as this is the most important module of the ISMB program. That includes my report.
Any questions? If not, we'll move on to progress report in the new fare payment system. It'll be jointly delivered by Jesse McKinney from New York City Transit, Mark Young from Long Island Railroad, and Delaney Glenn from Metro North.
Good afternoon. Jesse McKinney from Fair Payment Programs Group. I'm joined by Delaney Glenn of Metro North and Mark Young of Long Island Railroad. This will be an update to our joint presentation to CPOC in January of 2015. It is a status report on current planned fare payment projects for New York City Transit. Long Island Railroad, and Metro North. For New York City Transit, it is the replacement of our legacy MetroCard system, and for Long Island Railroad and Metro North, it is the onboard ticket issuing machines, mobile ticketing, as well as their long-term strategy study. Since 9 months have passed since our last update, we thought it would be helpful to revisit in the next 2 slides what we are working towards for New York City Transit at least. The purpose of this slide is to touch on the building blocks of the new fare payment system. The new system will be standard-based. We are using payment industry standards that are open and non-proprietary. We want to de-emphasize customization and therefore look to avoid new engineering costs. The new system would also be an account-based where fare calculations are done at the back end, unlike our MetroCard system, which is a card-based system, and fare calculations are done at the point of entry and captured on the magnetic stripe of the card. We have decided on an open payments model, which is more versatile and provides many choices for our customers, such as a contactless, back-issued debit or credit card or a smartphone that could be in their possession. We are looking to procure devices for the new system that are commercial, off the shelf. The design will allow for multi-vendor integration and avoid being tied to proprietary technology of a single vendor. We refer to this approach as open architecture, where ideally any piece of equipment in the system can be procured competitively from vendors as long as we provide the interface documentation. The new fare payment system would make easier to support payment convergence strategies such as tolling, parking, bike share, etc. As previously discussed at our last CPOC presentation, our objective is to have an integrated, reliable, convenient fare payment and collection system for our customers. The new fare payment system will be designed in such a manner that would make it adoptable by other MTA agencies and transit systems in the New York region and advance our goal of seamless travel. The new fare payment system would be robust enough to accept open payment media already in the hands of customers, like contactless bank credit or debit cards and smartphones, but also serve those without, such as our unbanked and underbanked customers, by providing an MTA-issued card that can be purchased by these customers at vending machines in our station, at retail merchant locations, or our customer service center. We envision that our customers would pay fares by tapping a contactless bank card, smartphone, or an MTA-issued smart card against an electronic reader. The proposed system would require a new back-end system that supports the financial functions, payment processing, and other back-office functions. It's worth mentioning, for interoperability purposes, the back-end will be designed to be scalable to accommodate the railroad's fare structure if we decide in the future. We want to enhance the customer experience and convenience with an online customer account management function and mobile device application on their smartphone. Regarding the project status to date, we are pleased to report that the business requirement development process is complete. We established a steering committee of New York City Transit departmental representatives to accurately identify the business needs of the system. This was translated into functional requirements, which has been captured in a technical specification. This is what you would expect in a design-build project. Also, we have prepared the RFP solicitation package, which consists not only of the technical specification, but all of the terms and conditions, support documentation needed for this package. It is ready to be advertised. As it pertains to industry outreach, this is an activity that will continue beyond the RFP advertisement. We continue to participate in payment industry collaboration efforts, such as the EMV Forum and the Smart Car Alliance, where we try to inform the financial institutions of the needs and value of transit systems. We also participate in the Transit Roundtable, which is a coalition of transit agencies working together to identify the common challenges faced in planning for open payments. On April 30th, 2015, we hosted an event here with industry stakeholders, specifically the banks and the brands, to inform them of our plans for a new fare payment system and the need for contactless bank smart cards in the region. We continue to monitor other similar open payment systems that are being provided and are underway, such as Chicago, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. The project timeline in front of you has been shared before in previous CPOC presentations. The duration for activities remain the same. That is, design, development, testing, and installation will take about 3.5 years, and phasing of the functions of the new system will take 3 years, followed by the decommissioning of the MetroCard system. As previously communicated, our plan was to advertise the RFP sometime in the second quarter of this year, but because of the uncertainty of the capital program, this did not occur. Hence, the milestones have shifted to the right accordingly, showing a slippage of 6 months now. It's worth mentioning that we are open to alternate proposals from vendors that better this base schedule. However, we are cognizant of internal resources needed to support a more aggressive schedule. I now turn over the presentation to Delana Grant of Metro North.
Good afternoon. Can I ask a question at
Question.
this point? On the MetroCard replacement, point 4, bullet 4 on page 69 of the board book, customers pay fares by tapping a contactless bank card, smartphone, or an MTA-issued smart card. How is the bank card and the MTA-issued smart card different?
Well, the MTA issue card would only be used within our transit system, and your bank card could be used within our system, but as well as outside to make your everyday purchases.
Well, that part I understand, but then why are we going through the extra engineering, procurement, expense, technology of issuing a smart card when they were available at every other vendor and merchant?
Well, because you'll have a situation where there are people that are unbanked, who don't have a relationship with a bank or underbanked, and then you'll have to provide them at least a media for them to then access our system.
Again, maybe I'm being obtuse. If I were to show up with some cash, okay, I want to buy this contactless card. Why can't I buy a contactless card from a bank rather than the MTA doing this and paying for this technology? MTA can sell it in a booth or whatever, but why are we why are we engaging in that part of it? Since I think we're trying to move away
Well,
from.
you know, initially what we want to do is provide open payments as part of the plan first to get customers hopefully to want to use the media that's already in their possession. But we realize that some customers might choose not to want to use their media that they have, or their contactless bank card, or their smartphone. And in turn, want to have us provide that media for them.
I appreciate your efforts in trying to answer this question. Perhaps you want to take another shot at it some other time, because I'm really asking a different question. I don't know if I'm expressing it correctly. Why are we even getting into this when there are smart cards available that we can simply sell rather than design one and manage it and do the technology ourselves?
Historically, I think the issue that we're going to bring forward, and we've got time because we've got a delay to start it because we're waiting for the CPRB approval of the program, is an informed decision that the board will have to take with respect to what degree do we push on a customer limited choices versus what they have right now. When I worked in Vancouver, there was a sentiment on part of the board to move away from any cash whatsoever, but that's a very difficult threshold to cross because there is part of the riding public that takes it. But I hear your question clearly, and I'll make sure, I think they do, and we do have enough time in the process with respect to the degree to which we can push that issue. Because certainly if we don't have to go that route, it would be better for us not setting up our own card.
Just to clarify, Mr. Chairman, I'm not suggesting that we don't have an option, but why does it need to be our designed and managed option? Can't we sell X bank's card, for example? Why do we need to do that?
I think some of the thinking is that, we're a 24-hour operation in New York City Transit, and that they would have to find a way of making cards available, on a 24-hour basis. But We'll get you an answer to that.
Also, I think it's worth mentioning that we also have to deal with the student population as well. So that's something that we actually put in their hands.
Just if I may interrupt, Fred, I think what you're saying is that rather than us creating this card with our own chip, we would just simply sell a prepaid that a bank put together. Is that what you're saying? Yes. Okay. We can look into that.
I think I was.
Go ahead, Andrew. Yep.
So if it's an MTA-issued card, doesn't that mean the MTA would get the float if somebody's buying a fair amount of fare up front, as opposed to a bank, say, getting the float?
Fair amount of fare.
You know,
guess,
a
yeah.
monthly?
Yeah.
I don't know that it makes us money in the long run, but there are plenty of people that don't have credit cards. And that's who it would appeal to, I assume.
Well, what's difficult, if you
And
go
the
back to the
float could be
timeline.
negotiated with the bank. It wouldn't be all the bank or the MTA. I mean, you would,
If it's an
Presumably you would
MTA-issued
negotiate.
card, it would be
It's-
our float.
It's an account-based system, so the money that you have is your money that was sitting in your account.
Go back to the timeline. There's been a running dialogue that the CEO has had with the project staff that are running this project. And that running dialogue has included a comment that the CEO has told the project team the board will be engaged and involved in this project going forward. And this is an indication of it. I mean that in an appropriate way. So what we're going to have to do in the 2017 through midpoint 2020, preferably early on, is have an engaged dialogue with respect to exactly how the design's going to be on this issue and other issues. Because this is one where you've got this long timeline to design and develop and then implement, and you live with it for a useful life of a fare payment system, which is 20 years. I mean, that's what the last one was.
Usually, the design life for MetroCard was 10 years, and for this system would be 12 years, but we tend to use it much longer than just that.
The design life for MetroCard was 10, but we're
Oh, absolutely.
No, it's like the R211s. The R211s, when we buy those cars, by the time they get here, and if they have a 50-year life, because we're getting 40, 50 years life out of a car, you're talking about 2070. So we better make the right decisions with respect to what those cars look like for the customers that'll be riding them, which won't be us the majority of their life. So the commitment I'm making as chair to the board, and I'll have a conversation with the CEO, make sure we bring it back to you and have this discussion. Andrew?
Is there any discussion yet about proximity sensors for these smart cards? About whether people will be able to keep them in pocket and purse and walk through versus having to remove them?
That technology is improving as we speak, and
It is improving as we speak.
Yeah.
And if it gets better, the retrofit of a turnstile is not an expensive thing to.
And the fact that no would-be thief sees you removing a card from anything is obviously good for security as well.
Right.
if we continue the presentation, I think we're going to hear from the railroad.
Just one on
Yes.
one thing.
Go ahead,
we
Jesse.
were discussing is that I just want to emphasize that this is going to be a phased, progressive, live approach, where we're opening it up for open payment media first, where people who do have a bank card or a smartphone can in fact use the system to get them used to using the media that's in their hands, in their possession, and then eventually we would then introduce our own card, and so that's what the approach is in terms of how we're implementing the system.
So it's a later decision.
That's correct.
Delana?
Okay. I'm going to talk about two projects that the railroads are working on jointly, and then Mark is going to talk about the third project that we're currently working on. Our first project is onboard ticket issuing machines, and those are the devices that all conductors will carry, and it will take care of all of their revenue transactions, whether it's selling tickets, stepping up tickets, or giving receipts, or taking credit cards. So the features of that onboard ticket issuing machine include the acceptance of cash and credit and debit cards. It includes driver's license scanning. We have a practice on the railroads when customers don't have cash that we issue them a bill to be paid. So device, the iPhone 5 device, actually scans a driver's license so that we have more accurate information and are able to collect on more of those invoices issued. It also has the ability to carry instructional manuals for the conductors so that they can look up some information quickly instead of having to go to a manual or ask someone or use the radio. They'll be able to have some instructional manuals right on the mobile devices. And they'll also get, from time to time, the same information that customers would get through a service alert will come through their mobile device. So this way, they have as much information as the customer has if there's a disruption or a problem. Metro North completed our system-wide deployment in March of 2015, ahead of our June 2015 target. And we're continuing to monitor how the devices are used. What we've noticed in the first 6 months is that there's been a little bit of a shift from cash to credit. But there hasn't been any additional revenue, but there's been some shifting between cash and credit. Long Island Railroad has currently 8 special duty conductors with the devices, and they will begin to roll out to all train crew members 3 to 4 months after receiving a green light to proceed. And it's estimated that the system-wide deployment that would be completed in a total of 19 months. The second project that we're working on and we're pretty enthusiastic about is the mobile ticketing. So we're developing an application. Misabi is the vendor that is actually designing that application, and it will enable customers to purchase tickets using mobile devices, their smartphones, and allow for inspection on board. The application is expected to be fully developed and tested by the end of 2015, and we're pretty much on target for that. So the end of this year, we'll have application ready for pilot testing with customers. Metro North intends to initiate that pilot in the first quarter of 2016 and complete a system-wide rollout by the fourth quarter of 2016. Long Island Railroad estimates it can begin the rollout 19 months after receiving green light to proceed with onboard ticket issuing machine deployment. The reason for that is that the onboard ticket machine will have the ability to scan the mobile ticket and cancel it. And we're not going to go live with the mobile ticket until we can actually have the onboard devices deployed at Long Island Railroad so that they can scan, validate, and cancel the tickets. And now Mark is going to talk about the final project that we're working on.
Thanks, Delana. Delana just spoke to you about 2 of the specific projects that we're working on now, but it's important to remember those are just 2 pieces of a much bigger project, which is where do the 2 railroads see ourselves down the road, long term? How do we envision our fare payment and processing process going forward? In order to assist us with that effort, the 2 railroads engaged CH2M Hill earlier this year in April 2015 for a 1-year engagement to inform us on what that system would look like going forward. On this slide, you just see some brief milestones and the 5 major components of that study. Let me just briefly give you a progress report on each one. So the first phase was a documentation of our current condition, which was fairly straightforward. We worked with our subject matter experts to document what we do today. Phase 2 was a peer review that was also completed in June 2015. We selected 5 peers in the United States that we felt had a profile that were very similar to ours. Metra in Chicago, Metrolink in California, MBTA in the Boston area, New Jersey Transit, and Amtrak. As I said, those 5 railroads were selected because they had similar profiles to us, such as ungated systems. They're all in the midst of either have already deployed or about to deploy mobile ticketing, and we felt we had a lot that we could learn from them. What we found is what we've learned from that peer review will be very helpful for the project going forward. In particular, clearly there doesn't seem to be a movement in the industry to install system-wide gating throughout a commuter rail like the ones we have, very expensive. And also, many of the railroads seem to be leaning towards smartphones as the future of their fare collection and payment systems going forward. Step 3 is the phase we're in today, which is a very critical piece, obviously. This is the point where we're working with CH2M Hill and the railroad staffs to really formulate what we want our long-term strategy to look like. Covers, I would say, 4 critical areas. How will our customers interact with us in the future? That's a lot of discussion about sales channels, ticket vending machines, what would they look like? The second is how will we process the tickets? That spans from what the conductors do on board in terms of validating, as well as what we do on the back end from a technology perspective, processing payments, managing accounts, etc. The third is interoperability. As you heard from Jesse, all of this, we're not 3 independent agencies doing our own thing. We're working together. This whole project is meant to coincide with the rollout of New York City Transit's fare payment system and a goal of a customer being able to use a single, at least one option, to use a single fare media to travel throughout the system. And lastly, we're exploring all of the implications of these projects on ticket types, fare policy, etc. In the end, all of the work we've done so far has been funded through the operating budget, and these projects are funded through the operating budget, but clearly, in the end, what we learned from this study will dramatically affect what our capital investment will be in the future. And to conclude, we're on schedule to complete the first 4 phases of the project by April of 2016. And we have an option within the contract to work with CH2M Hill on a technical scope of work if we so desired.
Any questions? We'll hear from Chris Adams from the IEC. Chris? Oh, I'm sorry. Arnie.
It says that the Long Island Railroad is ready to go as soon as it's given the green light. Why are we waiting?
So we've been engaged in many discussions with our workforce, our collective bargaining units, and it's a priority for us to have a plan and a rollout plan that all parties agree are the best approach, and our labor relations teams are working on that.
Am I on? Okay. If this is too complicated, you and I can talk about it offline. West of Hudson can download the New Jersey Transit phone thing, which I can do. And on rare occasions, there's some situation where the Pascack Valley line or the Port Jervis line tickets are honored on the Hudson line. So if I walked in with a New Jersey Transit downloaded ticket on my phone, could the conductors not presently cancel that ticket?
Presently, they can't cancel that ticket because we're still in test with the application that actually reads the device, the smartphone. But once we launch the pilot in the first quarter, New Jersey Transit, the West of Hudson tickets are to be considered as an option in that. So once we get through the pilot, then we'll issue what tickets are actually going to be appropriate going through the full rollout. So at that point, we will be able to. It's something we're working towards, but right now, we can't validate any of the tickets on the phone yet. But the conductors have instructions if there's a New Jersey Transit, because we do have the diversion between the systems, that they will be able to visually inspect the ticket, and they have mock-ups so that they know what it's supposed to look like and what's supposed to happen. They just won't be able to actually cancel a ticket. But it self-cancels after a period of time.
IEC report, Chris Adams.
Good afternoon once again. In this review, we'll be providing oversights on the New York City Transit new fare payment system. Schedule review. The IEC confirms that the new fare payment schedule duration is reasonable based on past experiences with similar types of open payment systems. Secondly, an important issue is the subway station local area networks are now scheduled to be completed in Q4 2017 well ahead of the new fair payment system requirement. On the budget review, in the IEC's opinion, the estimates for the new fair payment systems are realistic now that the communication designs and costs have been published in the master plans. And finally, our comments. IEC confirms that the new fair payment system project team has defined a design-build model based on open payment standards and open architecture and are consistent with industry best practices. And finally, a formal risk assessment is planned for Q1 2016. That includes my report, Mr. Chairman.
I would like to say, I mean, you did provide the provision, Jesse, that you're going to ask the bidders to improve on that schedule. There will be intense pressure to improve on that schedule. It's hard to look at a timeline. I understand it, and there's a lot of technical issues that got to be resolved. But when you make an ask for a capital program as large as we have, and it appears as if we're close to getting final approval on it, for those issues that the customer deals with every day, so it's the station environment, the experience in the station, it's the rolling stock environment on the bus or the rail car, where they spend a large portion of their day, they expect to see that as fast as possible. And certainly the new fare payment system part of it, because it affects other parts of their lives as well. So if the other board members won't, I will, but there will be other parties that will be pressing us to do it faster if we can. We can't throw caution to the wind, but we certainly need to be able to deliver this as fast as possible, which is difficult not only because of the technical issues, but the fact that we need to have 3 or 4 agencies aligned. So, thank you very much. Capital program status, Craig Stewart.
In the interest of time, I'm going to refer committee members to Section 6 of the agenda. I'd be glad to answer any questions to the completion and commitment report. Sure.
It looks like there is going to be delay on the electronic security for a couple of the under-river tubes. Can you?
We're going to discuss that in
An
executive
session.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Any further questions on the reports provided so far? If not, I'd like to move to enter executive session in accordance with New York's Public Officers Law, Section 105, Subset 1, Subset A, matters which will impair the public safety if disclosed. Second, all in favor, aye. We'll go right in here for a quick executive session. Now reconvene the board meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn? Second, all those in favor? Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.